was raised a country boy in the mountains I call home. Western North Carolina is where I learned to get along. And Papa taught me how to be a southern gentleman. Granny showed me all the strength of a woman's gentle hands. And Mama taught me how to face the world on headstrong. She said life will bring you problems, you gotta keep on moving on. And I wanna go back to my family and to my home. I wanna go back. That's why I sing this song, I wanna go back.
This patron wanted this chair to have birdhouses on it, and the chair's not got a lot of surface to it, so I'm going to have trouble. I'm going to put the birdhouse here, and then I'm just going to decorate these slats that go on the other side. This will be a sort of a vine tendril. I'll make it black first, and then I'll take some brown. Then I'll make berries. The berries I make with my finger. I dip it in red, in yellow, and white. You just keep dipping your finger in the paint. I don't really use a lot of green for leaves on these designs. I just take straight yellow and I half load my brush with yellow and with black. Then I run it across a surface until I get that blended together. You'll see what happens. I'm making a brush. It's actually a leaf with my brush. There's little spots from it. I paint a little vein on some of the leaves. Give it a little difference, a little pattern, a little rhythm. I'm just going to make these shorter. I don't want it to look like we got wallpaper and papered the chair. By varying the area that it covers, get back and do my red and yellow and white berries. They're not ripe enough. A little more. Yeah, what you want to be sure to do when you're putting berries and flowers and leaves and things like that is don't just do it the same way. Now I use more brush for this. It doesn't matter. There's no book that says any of this stuff. There's no rules to any of this. It's your chair usually. You do what you want to with it. If it looks funny, you either repaint it or just have a funny looking chair. Now that's going to be the post. Here's the bottom of the birdhouse. Move up here. Now just make the brush strokes go all the way up and down the birdhouse. Because if you're going to build a little homemade birdhouse, that's how you do it. And you put a roof on it. And I'm going to put some little streaks to show the boards, and then with my finger I'm going to put, this is an apartment house for birds, little grass, And some of them are going to be coming out of this. This is a living post. Now I'm going to put a little architecture in the roof up here. That's what artists can do. Now I'm going to have the vine cross over and keep on coming up. Now the birds can live there and they're camouflage. Shape up here. I know what, we need a bird. He wants to see if he can rent one of those apartments. So he's looking down at it. Now on this side I'll give him another wing. We got a friend that's going to be in there with him. Now I think just for the sake of art, I'm going to have those vines and berries sort of come over onto their area, filling that space a little bit more. And I guess a berry or two. Okay, now that about does that. I think I'm going to put something down here. Put a little more red on there. This is a piece of furniture that I painted. It's just, I guess you go to a breakfast table. It's not a particularly fancy piece. It's a drop leaf, and it was just plain, and I don't like plain areas, so I decided I was going to paint it. And what I did, I like to paint fruit real well. I've got a special way of doing it. I enjoy doing it. It probably didn't take me more than 3 hours to paint this because it was a lot of fun. They're just little still lifes, and the first thing that I do is to be very careful that I've got my area, and you kind of need to have everything centered, and it's not too crucial, but because if you're, see, I'm a little bit too far off center here because I've only got about an inch between that leaf and the edge of the drop leaf. Over here I've got about 3 inches, but it didn't matter because for one thing, I added an apple out here just to fill in that space a little bit, and you don't notice it. This apple's going that way. Just no angles. It's like you were looking from the ceiling down on it. The other still lifes that I've got on each edge, the part that goes under your plate when you're eating, it's got a container with the different little still lifes on it, grapes. And it's pretty much all the same thing. I just played with color. Obviously, you've got green leaves. There's no pattern or anything to it. You could have a pattern if you wanted to. After I got it painted, I let it dry. I put on 2 coats of lacquer, which carried me into the next day. And when those 2 coats were really dry, I took some raw umber oil paint and I spread it all over each still life. And then I took a rag and I erased a lot of it and left the edges with the dark umber, and that makes a beautiful 3-dimensional look that way, and that's sort of my signature look. When you paint something You always start with what is the farthest back in the picture. You paint it first, and then on top of that, you progressively get closer and closer till these daisies are in the very front. They're in front of the leaves, which are in front of the topper. Now I demonstrated to you a while ago how to mix half your brush with yellow paint and half of it with black paint, and that way you get a very dimensional looking leaf. So there's just, you can either put the black on the out edge and yellow in the center, or you can put yellow on the outer edge and black in the center. Now you remember, after we put that first coat on there, we do as many daisies as flower as we want, and then they're always kind of streaked with the background showing through. So I'm going to have room here to put 3. Then I'll go back and I'll put another coat on these, and sometimes it takes several coats to get that paint on as opaque as you want it. And like I say, it's alright for some of that background color to show through. It gives it a real nice dimensional quality. But it's got a lot more form when we go through it the second time. And then after that, I'm not going to finish those. I'm going to take the last little bit of white and sort of make a last spot, and it defines these daisies real well, especially on the outside edge. That's all that it takes. The last thing that we do before we shellac it, which I didn't show on this one, was to make the tendrils with black paint. Come out, just fills in a little bit of space. And that's all there is to it.
And I want to go back to my family and to my home. I want to go back. That's why I sing this song. I want to go back. Leave the world outside in the cold, down Tobacco Road.